Greetings, humans.
Greetings, humans.
How's it going Thursday night in the multiverse?
Welcome to Mike and Dave's Multiverse, everybody. Thanks for tuning in this week.
Yeah, we got a fun little show planned for you guys today. We don't have any special guests tonight. The special guests are Mike and Dave.
That's right. Your
We
fabulous
thought,
co-hosts.
yep, we thought it would be a good opportunity to shout out some of our friends of the show, that kind of thing tonight, as well as kind of refine what it is that we add to the show. I'm trying to get Instagram live going, but it doesn't seem to be working.
Not too cooperative tonight.
Not too cooperative tonight. Let me just double check one more thing.
If you're watching on YouTube, we appreciate you. If you're watching on the X platform, that's great too. Rumble, Facebook, we appreciate all those.
Go live, yeah. It's not letting me. Oh well. Sorry, Instagram.
Womp womp.
Let me try one more. Let me try one more thing. But yeah. Is anybody? Sorry, go ahead, Mike.
We've been doing a show over 3 months now, Dave. Did you expect we would have so many guests on the show already?
No, not at all. That's been the coolest part about doing the show, is that we've met so many interesting people, and so many people have wanted to, or at least agreed to my harassing, and have come on the show. And yeah, it's just been wonderful, to be honest.
Yeah, I didn't expect it. And it's only ramping up. If y'all had any idea what me and Dave have cooking in the calendar has been pretty full. We've been recording a lot of content for the audience.
Yeah, it's been pretty full. I think we got 3, maybe even 4. Yeah, we got 4 interviews ready to rock and roll. The one that drops tomorrow, we're pretty excited about. It's with former stand-up comic, former radio host, and now actor Alpha Trevette. He had a bit of an interesting take on moving through the entertainment business. So that drops tomorrow at 7:00.
Yep. Looking forward to that.
Yes, sir. I'm going to try to create this Instagram link one more time, and if it doesn't work, it doesn't.
Go ahead. Take your time, and I'll go ahead and start the show by providing an update on one of the guests that we had, Chris Shannon. Chris Shannon joined us for a Humans of the Multiverse interview. Chris is a amputee, a veteran, and a retired machinist. He told us the story of his injury and basically lost his leg in a road accident and uses a prosthetic leg. And Chris was telling me about his 3D printers. And last weekend, I went to his apartment and helped get some scans to make a new socket for his prosthesis. So he's basically fed up with the quality of the sockets he's been getting, and he decided to 3D print his own.
Yeah, Chris is an awesome guy too. Definitely check out his interview. He's got a lot of good insight in general, on the world, and through the lens of a military veteran and an amputee, and he's a very resilient guy. So check out his interview.
He also worked on some of the most highly secured nuclear missile sites, doing maintenance on some of our most precious weaponry during his time in the military. I'm going to go ahead and pull up the clip. Made a clip of the stuff.
What's up, everybody? This is Mike here, hanging out with Chris today, giving you a quick update. Right now, Chris is applying markers that we are going to use to make a 3D scan of his leg, using this 3D scanner, and use it to print a socket. So, stay tuned for more.
670,000 points.
We just finished scan 1. 670,000 points. The program is creating a mesh out of the scan, and probably going to do another scan after that.
So I muted this part of the video, and I also sped it up 2 times. You can see this is me using the 3D scanner to help create that 3D model of the leg. So having to go super slow. It's pretty sensitive to the distance. If you get like closer than 8 inches, I don't know, further than 10 inches away, it would start blinking red sometimes. So it was a little bit tedious. It was a precision job. So it was pretty fun to do.
That's pretty incredible that he's just, like,
Right, here
screw
was the scan
this.
that we just
I
took.
don't
We
want
got
these.
most of the surface area. We got pretty high resolution. We're gonna do another scan just to be safe. Pretty cool.
So Chris has not printed the socket yet. He's still working with that 3D mesh scan in the computer program. That's a whole ball of wax unto itself. But I decided I would show this clip of the Chris printed me a cool phone stand, adjustable phone stand for my phone on my desk, and I left it in my backpack. I forgot to grab it, but I was going to show it off. There's it, almost finished. Has adjustable height. Prop your phone up. So I appreciate that, Chris, and I had a fun time hanging out and helping him out in his workshop.
Yeah, that's wild. He was like, screw this. I don't want these run of the mill leg sockets. I'm going to make my own. That's the type of guy Chris is.
Yep. I'm sure he'll provide us an update when he does print the socket from those 3D scans we did.
Yeah. I think this is a good segue into shouting out some of our new friends of the channel. What do you think?
Yeah, let's just go through the folks one by one and screen share their stuff. That'll be great.
All right. So the first guy I wanted to screen share is our friend George from Yorgos Designs. There he is, handsome bastard. George came on the show. We met him on X. He did all the merchandise for Cosmic Summit. He's an interesting guy. He's been on the show twice now. He's been on our live stream, and we've got an interview coming out with him in 2 weeks that was very interesting about growing up Greek in New York City, and some of his family history and that kind of thing. And George always has interesting things to say. What do you think about George, Mike?
George is a cool guy. I'm really glad we made a new friend and hope to meet him one day.
Yeah, and here's his website. He can design you pretty much anything. He's got a product for anything. If you've got a logo or anything at all, he can put it on one of his. He went through this with us. He's going to make some merch for us. So there's a little tidbit of information. We're going to make a little bit of merch to bring to Cosmic Summit to give away to some lucky people. So there's that.
When we started the channel, that one day inevitably we'd be trying to do some merch. So
yeah, we're not selling it. We're just bringing it for fun and to rep the channel while we're there. The next guy moving on is our boys in the chat, Mr. Tyrone Ellington of Rebirth of the Word. He's also been on the show twice. He's shared some of his knowledge on our live stream, as well as his interview dropped last week. Go ahead and check it out. He has a really interesting way in which he approaches ancient history and ancient knowledge. And he just came out with a book, so check that out as well.
You have I'm going to pull up his YouTube channel real quick. I was going to try to find I watched some of his videos the other day. That was pretty good. Rebirth of the Word.
Yeah, and we're going to be posting all these links in the bio for anybody who's interested. Tyrone lives here in Georgia with us, so we're actually going to meet up with him in person and do some field work. For lack of that's fun to say. Some field work.
Sorry, I don't have a video pulled up, but definitely shout out Rebirth's channel is great. I've been watching some of the interviews and some of the I learned from this book series of videos. Tyrone tells us about books he's been reading. Super cool.
Yeah, very cool and very knowledgeable guy there. Next guy I wanted to shout out was Mr. Jason Quitt. This is his website, The Crystal Sun. He sells crystals. You can also buy his book on here. Very fascinating interview. He got into all kinds of stuff. Astral projection, past lives. He also he found some patterns in ancient archaeology, ancient effigies, ancient writings, and stuff like that. Seems to show up across time and across space. This same geometric patterns show up everywhere. Very interesting.
That was the most fascinating part to me, learning that these angles, which represent cycles of the moon, cycles of the stars, are found in all this ancient symbology that, you know, some historians just say, well, this is all fiction. This is all purely imaginative. This is some fancy artwork that the ancient tribes made. But a whole lot of lunar and solar coincidences when you sit down and analyze it angle by angle.
Yeah, he honestly gave me a totally different way to look at some of this stuff. So I thank him for that. Mike and Dave might be making an appearance at Contact in the Desert at the end of May. You can find him presenting there. He also knows Travis Walton, which is like super cool because he's like Travis Walton's one of the most well-known, well-documented, credible UFO abduction cases of all time. The movie Fire in the Sky came out in, I don't know, the 90s, and that's kind of what got me obsessed with the topic to begin with. Mm-hmm. So supposedly Travis goes to these events, so I'm hoping to meet Travis Walton through through Jason Quitt. And yeah, thanks for coming on the show, Jason. He also reached out to me actually and asked if I knew how to get in touch with the Cosmic Summit, which I kind of do. I know who promotes it, but I don't know them personally. But I'm hoping he's going to be at Cosmic Summit as well.
We'll put that. We'll add George on the X platform. We're going to do that with him.
Yeah, I have George Howard on X, but I sent him a message, but he didn't send one back. George Howard is the promoter of Cosmic Summit, though, which is totally awesome. That's how Mike and I met. Next guy is in just a group of people, the Institute for Natural Philosophy. These are the guys that came out with the magazine, Pharos magazine.
Yep.
We got connected to them through Ricardo of History, Myths, and Legends, who's been on the show twice. He's done our live stream and done an interview as well. So go back and check that out. He's also got a really interesting way he looks at ancient history and ancient culture. Very cool. Shout out Ricardo, History, Myths, and Legends. Here's his YouTube channel. He writes articles that you can find on X, and he makes a lot of them. He's got 50 plus articles on X. And he makes videos out of some of his best articles, and so you can find them here. Who else? Oh yeah, and last week we had a really cool guest, Mr. Rick Osman. We want to share that his first 4 episodes of his documentary, Lost America, is on Prime, $2.99 per episode. He actually put it out there on X that you can buy these, and if you don't like them, you can send him a message on X, and he will refund your money, no questions asked. He just wants to get the information out there. Oops, I didn't mean to do that. Yeah, he just wants to get the information out there, and I don't know how I messed all that up. Mike, can you help me out here?
Where did we go?
I don't know.
Rick told us a lot about out of place artifacts.
There we go.
Found in the Americas, stuff that was maybe European in nature, like Roman coins, but might have gotten here before Columbus. Very interesting stuff. Very interesting.
Yeah, I want to look more into it. He's got a couple of books. Look him up, Rick Osman. You can find his books on Amazon. None of them are in print anymore, but they look pretty interesting. So I want to shout out Max Resnick from Max Resnick Movement. Here's his website. He takes a very interesting approach to helping people with hip pain and back pain and chronic pain. He's got a course called Happy Hips. But he teaches people to fight their chronic pain with mindfulness and meditation more than like corrective exercise. Very interesting approach.
We're obviously not a full-blown health and fitness channel, but Mike and Dave are concerned for the well-being of everybody that watches and everybody around us. So we want everyone to have access to resources that have been helpful to us, you know?
Yeah, and that brings us to the next guy we had on the show, Mr. Jesse Coomer. He's an author of a couple of different books, Practical Guide to Breathwork. He runs workshops. He just did one at the beginning of January, workshops on breathing, cold exposure, lots of different things like that used to help optimize human performance through conscious awareness of your breath and cold exposure. Very interesting guy. He's got a lot going on YouTube and on his website. Lots of courses, certifications. He does events. He's a busy guy. And not last, we got two more. Our friend JT Thomas. I think he was literally our first guest, was he not?
Our first live guest. Well, yeah.
Yeah, I think he was our first guest on a live stream, but it wasn't a traditional live stream. JT works for the Georgia Bureau of Investigation and has an interesting insight into technology and what's on the come up. But he was not able to share too much about it. But he sat in with us during the congressional UAP hearing that was in November, the second one. And so he had a bunch of interesting takes. He also owns this website and this business, Graffiti Greek, where he does embroidery for universities and stuff like that. So he makes all these different shirts and jackets and hats and different things like that. So if you are needing some of that, check out Graffiti Greek. And last but not least, the Church for Our Common Home is the website for Walt the Wonderful, my friend Walt Rutherford, who did I think our third interview, which was really our highest performing interview of all. It had like 2,000 views or something. Whoop, whoop. Yeah, Walt was just telling stories like straight out of a movie. If you haven't listened to that one, go ahead and listen to it. He goes deep on his experiences in Vietnam and before that and after. And this is him and his wife Bonnie's church that they run in Oregon. And we're actually going to have Bonnie on the show as well as an interview. She's a very interesting lady. And that's
briefly at the end of Walt's interview, but we'll have her on for a full episode at some point.
Yeah, she's actually a very accomplished academic as well as a very spiritual person, and we just wanted to talk to her about that kind of stuff. What do we got coming up, Mike? Anything cool coming up?
Interviews with maybe some more academics, maybe some more regular folks like you and me. If anyone wants to do an interview, give us a call, shoot us a message.
Yeah. We actually, I'm just going to say it. We did one with Mr. R.N. Voigt, which we're super excited about. That's going to drop in about 3 weeks. But we did that interview a couple days ago. But yeah, to answer your question, Mike, it's been crazy, like how many people have been wanting to do this show. And we're just so grateful for it that we thought we'd open up today, shouting everyone out.
Super fun. And it's great to make new friends, meet new people. And we look forward to doing much more of the same.
Yep. So what's going on planet Earth today, my friend?
Let's shift gears to the Earthwatch phase. Let's go.
One more actually. I forgot. I forgot.
Steve Palmer was our first guest. He called in on the first show.
Yeah, Steve Palmer, him and his twin brother, we met them at Cosmic Summit. So shout out Steve. Also, Laura, she was the one we did an interview with. She's a model and a social media influencer whose artwork is being sent to the moon. It's a nice, quick, lighthearted interview. And she's a really interesting young lady. So go check out her interview in Humans of the Multiverse. All right.
Yeah. Onward and upward. Eyes on the skies. This week, we've got these big coronal holes facing us, facing the Earth from the sun. Oh, I got to click over here. Oops, I was going to pull up the movie of it, which means that there's no big sunspots or plasma filaments facing the Earth, but there are plasma filaments on the left side of the screen approaching the Earth, the left limb. But this big coronal hole is kind of a cool spot on the sun that's facing us this week. Here's the definition. Coronal holes appear as dark areas because they are cooler and less dense than the other regions of surrounding plasma. So the solar wind flows more readily from these regions, resulting in streams of relatively fast solar wind. And we can see that back on the other website. The solar wind is in green on this. So that spot where there's a coronal hole, higher speed solar wind coming from the sun as it turns. Just a little tidbit of information, but pretty much a quiet week for the Earth, for the part of the sun that's facing the Earth. Not a whole lot of geomagnetic activity, except for this coronal hole with slightly faster than normal wind, solar wind.
So
I want to share. Go ahead, Dave.
I was just saying, so we're safe from the sun for another week.
Yeah, for another week. There's some pretty gnarly plasma filaments on the approaching limb on the left side, but we'll see what they do. I wanted to share this video by a new channel that I found called Flare Aware. They cover solar phenomena, and there's about a 1-minute clip that I want to share about interaction between life forms on planet Earth and the sun. So here we go.
Cool.
But how do organisms even sense these magnetic changes? The answer lies in a special protein called cryptochrome. Acting as a biological compass, cryptochromes are involved in both magnetic sensing and regulating our daily rhythms. It's a perfect blend of biology and physics. But what happens when the dance is disrupted? Solar storms, massive bursts of energy from the sun, can throw Earth's magnetic field into chaos. These geomagnetic storms don't just light up the skies with stunning auroras, they can also upset the delicate magnetic rhythm life depends on. The timing of these events matters. When a solar storm peaks during the natural daily variation, organisms seem to manage better. But when the storm hits outside of that rhythm, it's like a sudden offbeat in nature's symphony, throwing biological processes into disarray. The effects of these disruptions are profound. At the cellular level, geomagnetic storms have been linked to changes in enzymes critical for regulating biological functions. In humans, research has shown connections between these storms and cardiovascular activity, as well as shifts in melatonin production, a hormone essential for sleep and circadian rhythms.
So there it is, the effect of solar weather, geomagnetic influences on circadian rhythms, something we all need to be mindful of.
Yeah, I imagine it affects a lot more than that. But if it affects your circadian rhythms, it definitely would affect your behavior, affect if you're grumpy, you could next time you're grumpy, that means we can blame the sun, correct?
Not only if you're grumpy, but it looks like it turns out if you're out of a job, the unemployment rate in the U.S. is very strong correlation with solar activity. This paper just got released through mainstream publishing house, academic publishing house, showing the very strong correlations between the unemployment rate in the U.S. and the solar cycle. So, if you're out of a job, what does that mean? I guess let's scroll down here and see what's the correlation. Is it positive or negative?
Looks like we got 55 total viewers so far going on. If you're listening and you're in the chat, go ahead and say hi and tell us where you're watching from.
Yep. And tell us about the time there was you got a job and there was a solar flare, or you got fired because the sun went quiet for a little while, I guess. All right, enough of that. That was the sun. We can shift gears to the Earth now, or do you got anything you want to throw in? I can move on to the Earth page.
Yeah, no, Earth page it is. I'm going to space.
All right. Well, let's stick to the terrestrial phase for just a moment. I've been flashing up this earthquake page every now and then on our live streams because I don't want to leave that out. If we're going to look to the sky, we need to look on our own planet as well. Something I wanted to highlight that I just read up on. There's been a series of earthquakes going on in Ethiopia that started last year, which is pretty unusual. Fairly unusual, but not unheard of. Share this instead. 2025 Ethiopian earthquakes. Beginning last fall, talking September, November. So really around the time we started the show, I should have picked up on this sooner. But now that I've caught on, I want you all to know. So Ethiopia does sit along a fault line. And there is a history of earthquakes. I'm going to sort back here. Before the most recent outbreak, last one was 2010. Before that, we're talking 1960s and 70s.
Oh, wow.
And before that, early 1900s, 1800s. So not unheard of. It's still certainly unusual. And here is the best explanation that I think I found for this from the channel Astro Alexandra. We'll put links to all the channels that we've shared clips from in our description. Play this video.
Scientists can see the beginning of what might someday be a sixth ocean. This is a map of the tectonic plates under Africa. Most of Africa sits on this plate right here, but Eastern Africa sits upon the Somalian plate, and this is where those two plates meet. Look at this border. And now look at this map of Africa. You can see that line. Along this border are the African Great Lakes. These are some of the largest lakes on Earth. This is 25% of all of the unfrozen surface fresh water on the planet, and they already hold about 10% of all of Earth's fish species. Those lakes formed because Eastern Africa is separating from the rest of the continent. That Somalian plate is continuing to move even further east, creating a giant rift valley right here. If it keeps going, eventually Eastern Africa is going to become its new continent, separated from the rest of Africa by a new ocean. To be fair, these plates move really slowly, so this would take millions of years, like 10 million years or more.
So there you have it. While we certainly hope that geologic activity returns to a lull and that everybody in Ethiopia stays safe, now we understand why that's happening and why it may happen again one day.
Yeah, that's wild. And that Astro Alexandra, she's got a great channel, by the way, very well done channel. Shout out to Jay the Jedi from Planet Brooklyn. What's up?
Let me do one more. I got one more Earth before we go too quick into outer space. But what were we going to say?
No, I was going to say just shout out to people in Ontario as well that I know who are watching.
On one of the early episodes, I had mentioned that we had been recording the shortest days on Earth since the advent of atomic clocks. Well, the numbers are in 2025, broke the record yet again for the average total yearly difference as well as the overall shortest day, or 2024 rather. I think I just said 5. We just started 5. I meant to say 4, folks. But minus 37 milliseconds on the year, and shortest day July 5th, 1.66 milliseconds, less than 24 hours.
Wow.
So let me scroll down here. And the really good data that we have comes, of course, since atomic clocks were invented. But through certain solar or what does it say? Astronomical measurements, telescopic timings of stellar occultations by the moon, they can make some inferences about it going as far back to the 17th century. So you can see that the length of the day is variable. But if you run out of time to do everything and you don't have a job, you could always blame it on solar flares and the Earth spinning a little faster.
So does that mean we are getting older faster?
And how does that work too? So that's a great question.
I know that right? I know that time is supposedly the universe is speeding up. The universe spreads apart in all different directions, and it's getting faster and faster. It's not actually slowing down, meaning the Big Bang is not crescendoed yet. It's still speeding up. So I always take that as meaning that we're getting older faster.
Or would it be slower? I don't know. We can go down a rabbit hole. We don't need to go there.
I'm just making shit up too. I'm just making shit up.
That's what I had for time travel. No, never mind. Sorry, I keep having another and another. But while we're in the Earth, speaking of another science channel, Anton Petrov, he cranks out. This is basically reviewing scientific literature at a breakneck pace. It's a fountain of information. If you get on this channel,
expected to find out.
This is about structures. Now we're looking inside the Earth. Structures detected inside the Earth that scientists previously didn't know about.
4 of different sunken continental plates very close to various subduction zones, where we know one of the plates sinks under the other, eventually forming some kind of a deposit inside the mantle. And so quite a lot of these tectonic plates that have sunk over time have actually been discovered very close to subduction zones as predicted, which did confirm a lot of theories of plate tectonics and helped us understand how all of this works. As a matter of fact, most of our geological understanding and the understanding of how the planet evolved in the last 4.5 billion years is kind of based on many of these assumptions that have basically been proven correct so far. But turns out that this plate tectonic cycle might still have some secrets. And these secrets have now officially been revealed based on even more complex simulations and even more complex analysis that managed to use the data from all of these seismic receivers combined with the analysis by a supercomputer, specifically this one, PIS-DANT, located in the Swiss Alps, that allowed the scientists behind the recent study in the description, so Thomas Schutten and his team, to essentially create the highest resolution model we've ever had of all possible anomalies on the entire planet, going as deep as 1,000 kilometers. And though this model once again confirmed the presence of these plates close to various subduction zones, it also discovered something entirely different. Here it discovered very similar formations that actually resemble submerged plates, or possibly some other really dense structures formed by something else entirely, in locations where nobody expected them. In most cases under very large oceanic or continental plates, where there are basically no subduction zones, or no other zones that should be able to produce something similar. As a matter of fact, in most of these locations, there is no evidence of any kind of subduction activity, no presence of previous plates, and no explanation for how something like this could have formed. Right now, these are just anomalies. And the only reason it was just discovered in the early 2025 is because of this newly created model known as the procedure full waveform inversion that required all of the seismic detectors in order to produce this observation. And naturally, because it was so computationally expensive, here they also needed a supercomputer.
So there we go. I really can't speak authoritatively on the complexity of all that, but what I wanted to share with the audience is we're still finding new things out about the planet we live on. We've got good theories about what goes on, but we've been limited by our measurements. But the scientists are coming up with new measurements and finding new ways to find things out. So,
Yeah, and you know what that got me thinking was they were using like super expensive, high-powered supercomputers, but when quantum computing comes into play, we'll be able to figure that shit out lickety split. Quantum computers are supposed to be able to, once downsized, are supposed to be able to, be up to, literally millions of times faster than our supercomputers today.
Yep.
So we'll probably learn a lot more about it after that. Anyone in the chat new? Anyone from a new place in the chat that haven't shouted out in the chat yet? Let us know where you're from. We going to space, Mike?
yeah, let's go to space. Whoop, whoop.
Nice. Let's go to space. So you guys probably may have heard of the astronauts who were, quote, stranded in space. I am going to share a video of those two astronauts doing their spacewalk that happened today. You can see the hatch opening up there.
Oop, not sharing yet.
Oh, not sharing. My bad. I'm going to pull it up. Sorry, little... Here we go. Share. And now we're good.
This is Mission Control Houston. This
All
view
right.
coming to you
So
in orbital night is of the International Space Station's Quest airlock. The hatch is now open and you can see Sunny Williams as EV1 wearing the red stripes emerging.
Yeah.
That will be followed by Butch Wilmore, EV2.
Suni and Butch are the two ones that have been on the news for being stuck in space, stranded in space. And this is them doing a spacewalk literally this morning. I'm just going to wait a few minutes for them to emerge. And then I'll fast forward because this was an 8-hour mission. It was an 8-hour mission.
I'm ready for you to come over. Here we go. And Sonny, we'd like you to double
their tasks on this mission were for removing radio communication hardware. That was the primary task. They were to remove a stuck radio frequency assembly and an S-band antenna from the station's truss. This was a follow-up from a previous unsuccessful attempt. They use a new wrench tool designed to release the compressive force and try to get the thing free. The other task that they were doing on this mission was collecting microbial samples. They were tasked with collecting surface samples from various parts of the International Space Station exterior, including around life support system vents.
Continues to
Interesting.
emerge. And once she is all set, we will start to see EV2, Butch Wilmore, emerging from the hatch as well.
Let's
and that
watch-
is coming up as we speak.
Let's watch Butch hop out of here. Butch is such an astronaut name, isn't it? I feel like if I wanted to have a son and wanted him to be an astronaut, I'd name him Butch.
As our two crew emerge for today's spacewalk. The space station is currently flying 260 miles above Madrid, Spain.
20-second handover, so you hold your dig once you get
So
Wave to Ricardo in Portugal. They're passing.
yeah, they're passing over Portugal right now. I watched a lot of this earlier. It was even interesting at the beginning. There was about 9 minutes in the beginning where they were getting their gear on and stuff in the airlock, which was pretty interesting. Just like straight out of a movie, really. I'm gonna fast forward through here so we can see a little bit more of what they're doing. The third task they had for the day. Remember, they were about to spend 8 hours on a spacewalk out in space. The third task was maintenance and preparation. They ran out of time to perform all the tasks, but one of the intended activities was to prepare a spare elbow joint for the Canada Arm 2 robotic arm. This task was postponed for future spacewalks. That's an arm that was supplied by the Canadian Space Agency. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. Pretty wild, eh?
Busy.
My mom said, holy moly, can they come back? I'm going to take a partisan approach to this, but they've been, quote, stranded up there for months, I think 7 months now. I was supposed to be an 8-day thing. I looked it up earlier. They went up there in June of 2024. Initial mission June 5th, 2024. Because of some technical issues to the Starliner, it had several problems, including leaking propulsion. And they were significant enough for NASA and Boeing to decide it was too risky for them to return back. Right. It's common for, incoming administrations to, like, quote, solve problems that were caused by, quote, the outgoing administration or vice versa. So the only reason I say that is that this isn't Biden's fault or Trump's fault and Trump is saving the day or anything like that. It's much more complex than that. Right. NASA had a plan to working with SpaceX to get these guys coming down from months ago. So you're looking at a little political posturing there more than anything. But the plan is they are coming back. Jay the Jedi said, so they are not coming back. The plan is they are coming back. They're working on it. Have you heard anything else about that, Mike?
No, I appreciate that update because we've been keeping ears on this. I hate to say, since for most of our show, they've been up there. So we hope to have back. We'll do a celebratory stream when they get back. Maybe we'll call them to be on the show.
Definitely. And I want to comment on just the grit and the endurance and resiliency that these two are showing after only supposed to be up there for a week. Now they're up there for 7 months doing a spacewalk. 7 months into it, they have the endurance and mindset and everything to complete a spacewalk like this. It's really quite incredible. It's going to do a little bit more fast forwarding so we can get a few more angles. And then we'll stop with this. But I think this is them trying to work on that Canada arm thing. Mm-hmm. That from earlier. But yeah, very cool, right? We're going to actually watch a live spacewalk. And I was watching it live this morning. I think it ended around 2 p.m. this afternoon. So very cool. Yes.
Hopefully now they're inside. I guess, I don't know, you take a space shower. Hopefully they're space resting for real.
Yeah, for real. And let's get these guys down. Politics aside, let's get these guys down. Sounds like they're coming up with a good plan to do so. They just want to be as safe as possible. They don't want to take any chances at all.
Oh, if I was up in space and they said, well, we could bring you down sooner, but there's half a chance of this or that, I'd say, you know what? I'm good up here. I'll stay up here.
Yeah,
more
right.
Dippin' Dots.
Yeah, just wait. Yeah, just wait. Dippin' Dots in Kool-Aid, right? Yeah, so I've been playing around with the Asteroid Watch a little bit more.
Ooh, yeah.
And I found a bad boy that I wanted to share. Where are we at? All right. So this is asteroid 2024YR4.
Mm-hmm.
You can see it right here. It's going to make a close approach to the Earth on December 22nd, 2032. This little couple essential stats I wanted to share about it quick before I show its interaction with Earth. Its farthest distance from the sun is 4.23 astronomical units. Essential stats. This is new, so they don't know a lot about it. It's approximately 57.75 meters, and I zoomed right into where it's going to approach with Earth, December 22nd of 2032. We'll be able to see there's us coming in from the
We'll be
left.
streaming live. We'll be streaming live. By then, we'll be streaming 5-dimensionally. We're going to have intergalactic sponsors and interdimensional promotions.
Yep. And coming in here is us passing by this 55-inch asteroid. They said that that's about the same size as the one that caused the Tunguska event, which Brittany, if you could pull that up, Tunguska event, we'll tell you what that is. I don't want to bro science it. You can click right on this guy. Actually, it already is. But it's just a cool way to see how these asteroids interact with our cosmic environment.
55-inch, you said?
55.5 meters. Here's another view I'm going to share because I thought this was a cool view as well. You can see it there. It's the day before it's supposed to pass Earth. This is how the thing spins, which is kind of cool. When you speed it up really fast, it's pretty wild.
Getting dizzy. I feel like a Mr. Potato Head spinning around on the ground.
Yeah. But you can zoom in and out. So, yeah, that's a big boy that they just found in December. So these things are going to be making passes by the Earth, and a lot of times we don't even know that they're there. So, yeah, pretty wild.
Thanks for the link, Brittany. Do you want me to pull up the Tunguska page, Dave?
Not yet.
Okay, I'll wait.
Yeah, and then just the regular asteroid watch. You can actually see it was showing the 2024 Y46 there, but it's not now. So anyway, Here I thought this was a cool view as well of the 5 closest approaches to Earth coming up. It's going to be 7 million kilometers. I forgot to mention what that 2024, how close that one is going to be coming to Earth. So I want to read a little bit about it while this was playing in the background. So the one I was showing before was discovered on December 27th. It's got a 1.2 to 1.3% chance of hitting Earth. So I forgot to mention that. So I wanted to make sure I pulled that up, and it's going to be coming within 66,000 miles.
This is in 2032?
2032. So in comparison, 66,000 miles to this one, which is 7 million, they consider that a close approach, right? 5 million kilometers, they consider that a close approach. That other one's going to be 66,000 miles on December 22nd, 2032.
We'll definitely be streaming. We'll be going live for that one. Mark your calendars.
For sure. That's even more dangerous than Apophis. And to be honest, 1.3 to 1.4% doesn't sound like a lot, but it actually is.
No, but that's like 10% chance that it's going to be a close call, right? That's like 10% chances of a graze.
Exactly.
Chance of a hit. Or 25% chance that it's gonna make some fireworks in the sky.
Exactly. I think it will definitely be viewable. So you can see Earth right here, and I'm gonna go back a little bit so we can see those all. These are the 5 closest ones. Now here's Earth's orbit. You can see how these guys are going to squeak by us at millions of kilometers, whereas the one I was just showing you is more than squeaking by at 66,000 miles. So I thought that was pretty cool. Yeah, so cosmic environment. That's what we got going on. What's Elon up to? Let's find out. So this is gonna, yeah, here we go. So we always do this. Turn it down a little bit. We do this once a week. Check out what Elon and SpaceX are up to. I'm going to tell you guys about this mission. It's the last mission of its kind. I'm going to turn it down.
Are they upgrading to a new type of mission after this one?
Well, this one is the end of what's called the SpainSat NG-1 mission, and it involves launch and operation of the first two advanced communication satellites under Spain's SpainSat Next Generation program. So this is kind of Spain getting into the space game here. The primary aim of SpainSat NG-1 satellite is to provide secure and reliable communications for the Spanish government, military, and emergency response teams, as well as for NATO allies. It's designed to meet the needs for secure communication in various frequency bands, including X-band, military Ka-band, and UHF, ensuring effective command and control and military operations beyond the line of sight. The project showcases significant collaboration between public and private sectors in Spain, with major contributions from companies like Airbus Defence, Space, and Thales Alenia Space, alongside support from the European Space Agency. The significance of this is it marks a significant leap in Spain's aerospace achievements, positioning Spain as a leader in secure satellite communications in Europe and enhancing its role within NATO. It will replace the older XTAR EUR satellite, providing increased capacity and flexibility for secure communications. So, yeah, and that bad boy just took off. And that's the end of this mission. Once this was successful, they're going to be done. They're going to have this thing all set up. So good job, Spain, getting into the space game.
Yeah.
Okay. I'll leave that going for another minute or so. But yeah, I thought that was cool hearing from another country. And like, they've been doing this a long time. I didn't know this mission's been going on for a couple years now.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, SpaceX does all kinds of private contracting for other countries besides just us and NASA. That's why these missions are going out literally 3 times a week. Jay the Jedi says, Apophis is supposed to hit Earth in 2029, according to Neil deGrasse Tyson. Yeah, I used to take that guy pretty seriously. But it's not that I don't take him seriously anymore, but he's very boxed into his ways of thinking. I don't. Apophis is not going to hit Earth. We showed Apophis last week, by the way. Apophis is one of those ones that you see clickbait about, and you see like, oh, Apophis might destroy us all, and it's given the name Apophis. But to be honest, the one I just showed is more dangerous.
We're trying our best to make the most clickbait type of thumbnails and titles for our shows, so don't be surprised by that.
Yes, very true.
Shoot,
yeah,
Neil Tyson's coming to my town in about a month, and I'm thinking about going and just holding up signs, standing in front of the venue and holding up signs to say 0 point is real or something. I don't know.
I think we should go just for shits and gigs. We'll get good content there. I've got one other link to share that's not really space related, but it's Earth related.
Do you want to save it and I do a couple space things and we do it at the end, or either way?
Whatever you want to do, brother. Go for it.
I found a quick hit on the moon. I think earlier in the show, we showed an article about cavern formations on the moon. Now we've got evidence of recent geologic activity on the moon. This is very recently published. Basically, scientists thought that the geological activity happened 2.5 or 3 billion years ago on the moon. But now, with recent research, they've got evidence of activity in the last billion years, possibly still active today, including some ridges which seem to have formed within the last 200 million years, which is short considering the moon's timescale. So just along with the theme of never say that you know it all, never think that we know everything there is to know. There's always going to be new information. Be ready to change your paradigms, folks.
Yeah. Every time I hear a human say, "Oh, I've got the exact 100% answer to this question," I always approach with caution, because we honestly believe that we don't know jack when it comes to most things. We know just a little slice.
Want to do the asteroid article? We got the. This is another fresh one. Samples have been returned from the asteroid Bennu, I guess, I don't know, by NASA's OSIRIS-REx mission. Some of them were sent to the laboratory at Hokkaido University in Japan. And those scientists have reported detecting all 5 nucleotide bases, the building blocks of DNA and RNA, inside the samples they got back. So, yeah, this is super fresh. This just came out this week. Brittany actually sent us the NBC article last night, and I went to look. I was like, holy cow, this is super cool. We've got to cover this on the show.
We just try to avoid showing mainstream media.
Well, I did get a kick out of this Associated Press headline. Are we all aliens? NASA's returned asteroid samples hold ingredients of life from a watery world. That was a good.
I think most astrophysicists and astrobiologists say we are all aliens, right?
Yep. Now this seems to be accepted. I wanted to pull up another clip about something that's a little more controversial within the scientific community. Evidence of ancient microorganisms found on a meteorite. So this is Professor Chandra Wickramasinghe, if I'm pronouncing that right. Me and Dave got to watch his lecture. He lectured us on phone conference from England, I think. We were at the Cosmic
That's
Center.
right, yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Play this clip real quick.
What is more important even than the diatoms is a structure that was discovered in the US by Mr. Hoover of something called an acritarch, which is an extinct microorganism, extinct on the Earth for something like 3 billion years or so. And you got that inside the Polonara meteorite. So it's a bizarre situation where your assertion that this cannot be an Earth rock, and you have stuff in it that cannot be anywhere near the Earth's surface at the present time. Maybe they're deeply buried or something, but the acritarchs have been out of the Earth's environment for something like 3.5 billion years. What is more important even...
There we go. So that's talking about the Polonara meteorite. And this is sort of debated and contested within the astrobiology, astrophysics community. Basically, because it's evidence of more than just the building blocks and nucleotide bases of what might become DNA life later on. This is evidence of single-celled organisms. Diatoms is like a single-cell type of algae.
Wow. Yeah, we're finding out more and more stuff like this. It makes it more likely that life exists right here in our solar system. So, I mean, there's actual not frozen water supposedly on Mars. So, who was I hearing listening to talk about that the other day? Either way, makes me wonder what Martian water tastes like.
Yep. Anyhow, that was about all I had for that. So nucleotide bases, we can admit it. If we find little diatoms, little fossilized algae and stuff on a meteorite, this controversy ensues.
Yes, I mean, well, that's what we want, right? We want answers to these questions, right?
A little healthy discourse, healthy dialogue is okay.
Yeah. And if you find yourself arguing with somebody on Twitter at 2 a.m, then you've probably taken it too far.
That was about all I had pulled up for this one. You did say you had one more link, Dave.
Yeah, I'm thinking about starting a new segment. It's just weird stuff on Google Earth segment. I didn't find this myself. I saw it in another video, but I did want to share it really quick. Let's go ahead and share. So I don't know how to pronounce this. I probably should have looked that up. Qasar Dra in the Tumumun, Algeria. Okay. This place is wild. I'm going to show you some pictures as well as this Google Earth zoom in here. This is a human fortification, literally in the middle of nowhere. Okay, the middle of the desert. Let's check it out. Why isn't it zooming? It's supposed to be zooming in, but it's not. So I'll zoom in myself. Yeah, so you can see there's some little area, places near it, but mostly desert. And as we zoom in right in the middle, you can see this tiny fortification right in the middle, Kasar Dra.
Oh, you know what? The first thing that reminded me of, Day, though, for real, I didn't look at this before the show. That looks like one of those circular enclosures from Gobekli Tepe.
It really does,
That's
and
yeah.
I thought the same thing. I don't know if anyone in the chat knows about Gobekli Tepe, but if they think, what do they think about what this looks like? It does look a lot like that. There's some other pictures we can pull up where we can see a little bit of the inside, a couple aerial views. I mean, look, I got to go back. Look at the sand dunes. Like, imagine trying to get out there.
Yep.
They had to go out there in these like pretty heavy duty trucks, obviously. That's a view.
Yeah, and I bet if you tried
at night,
knocking on the door, whoever lives there is not going to answer it. They probably have a sign that says no soliciting posted out front. That's why they're out there.
That guy, he's the guy who lives there. I don't know that for sure. I'm just kidding, but man, like
he's looking through the window. Like, have you ever knocked on someone's door and seen him looking at the window at you, like, and they're not answering the door?
Like, that's what I do when someone knocks on my door. I'm never expecting anyone, so I'm always like thinking it's the FBI or something. Yeah, it does. What's interesting about this, and I wanted after I flip through the pictures a little bit, I'm going to read a little bit about it. But supposedly in this area, what makes this thing different is it's circular instead of polygonal, or which is interesting, or octagonal. I mean, so yeah, I guess it's how you get in there. But yeah, this thing's wild. I didn't know
this one.
Go ahead.
We need to send this one on up the chain. Let's get Luke Caverns out there, Ben Van Kirkwick, and get a full-blown report.
Yeah, somebody, because there's not a lot to know about it. It's an enigmatic and ancient structure that stands out for its unique architecture and mysterious history. It's situated approximately 15 kilometers from the Red City of Timoumoun in Adrar province, Algeria. It is positioned in the middle of an ocean of sand dunes, making it a striking feature in the West arid landscape. The structure is circular, featuring a double wall about 2 meters high. It has 3 levels with multiple rooms, but notably there are no windows or external staircases, suggesting a design focused on security or perhaps secrecy. The walls are made from stone and clay, with the outer wall constructed from stones and the inner from clay. The exact purpose and origin of Kasar Dra remain largely unknown. Speculations about its use include it being a fortified castle, a granary, a prison, or even a military post. There are mentions of possibly being occupied by Jews from the Timoumoun region at some point, though concrete historical evidence supporting this claim is scarce. And, doing doing archaeology in the middle of the desert is virtually impossible. There's so much logistics that would go into that, and just getting out there and establishing a team out there and like living out there in the desert would be really difficult. So but I'd love to see, as Mike said, some of these more intrepid YouTubers and researchers get out there and see if we can get some astronomical data or their astronomical alignments.
That's my other first question. Let's look at the locations of the doors and windows and compare the sunrises on solstices.
Yeah, Jason Quits. Can we find any evidence of his angles in there? I just thought it was a cool place. And so I'm going to try to do that. If it's not every week, it'll be every once in a while. I'll have a weird place on Google Earth that I'll show you guys. But that's it. That's all I got for the day.
Great new segment to the show. And I'm immediately wondering, Can we do ground penetrating radar? Well, it's surrounded by sand, so is there sand radar? Can LiDAR image through sand? Like, let's see what else is in this area, because how else did they,
Right. Well, a lot of times when they find stuff like that, there's a bunch of other stuff that's likely buried in a massive sand dune, right?
because the deserts of today were once the forests and lush, rainforests of the past.
yeah, I'm not gonna, misquote here, but there, like, for example, in the Sahara Desert, there was a lake called the biggest lake that ever existed on freshwater lake that ever existed on Earth, called Mega Lake Chad, and supposedly you could fit all the Great Lakes in it. And that doesn't even exist anymore. It's just a desert. And honestly, that existed while humans were living in Africa. So, anything could be out there. We should ask Rick Osman about doing some LiDAR there.
Yeah.
Yeah. And my mom likes my idea of Google Earth searches. Thanks, Mom. I wanted to shout out everyone in the chat, especially my Uncle Don, Jay the Jedi, my mom, Debbie, just some of the regulars that have been in the chat. We really appreciate that. Tyrone as well. Tyrone's our ally in this. He's always supporting us, and we're always supporting him. So check out his website.
The Georgia contingent.
Yeah, the Georgia contingent. What do you think, Mike? Should we call it?
Yeah, this has been a great show. It's good to get back in the saddle and broadcast live. If we missed anything, we'll be back next week to cover it all over again.
Yep. Don't forget to like and subscribe on YouTube. That's the most important one for us. But we're also on Spotify and Rumble, and you can watch these streams on Facebook, sometimes on Instagram and X as well. And so, check us out. And if you want to meet us in person, come to Cosmic Summit 2025 in Greensboro, North Carolina.
Woohoo! Peace out, everybody.
Music. Oh, and there's my cousin Dan. What's up? What's up, cousin Dan? Rewind and check out the whole show. If you missed it.
We played Dan's song on 5 or 10 live streams ago. A couple months ago.
Yeah. I'm waiting for him to give me another one so we can play that too. I had that KD and Lunch Meat song stuck in my head for a month.
and that's it. If you're an artist, send us music. We'll play music on here. The track I'm playing right now, I found at my local record store by a local artist. We love getting music from friends and family on the show.
Yes. We're trying to have a little musical element to the show as well. This is our show, so we show what we like and what we want. And,
thanks, Cameron. Cameron Schaefer. Shout out to my buddy Cam. I appreciate you watching.
What's up, Cam? In Texas, or?
Yes. Cutting out a little bit, Dave, but I think we're going off air.